So good morning, good evening, and a very good afternoon to each and every one of you. I'm not sure which part of the world that you are viewing us from. We are, of course, streaming actually from all platforms related to and connected to the platform. So that's X, formerly known as Twitter, and of course the three YouTube channels that we have on the platform. So joining us, I wouldn't say he's not my brother, he's a grandmaster. Grandmaster. Somewhere down here, the grandmaster over here. Yeah.
Grandmaster, wow. Just because I've got a beard, is that what it is? I'm going to trim this down.
Too late.
But you know what? Let me go first to Ricardo. Ricardo, how you been, man? How you been?
I'm good, man. I'm good. I mean, busy as usual, which is great. I'm here in North today and in Nottingham. The weather is not, is not in our favor today, but it's still good and great to be here.
Yeah,
that's all I can say.
Yeah, good to see you back, man. Good to see you back. Early bird Gabriel. Yes, Gabriel. What's happening, man?
Yeah. Today was a crazy day. That because of moving stuff. So a lot of physical stuff, moving stuff out of the house, helping someone that, and So maximizing my day from early morning. So and still getting time and energy to do this. So here I am.
Great. Nice. Well done, Gabs. Well done. Absolutely well done on that. And I was about to go to my brother, but for some reason he's got some problems. I think with his internet. I told you, the grandmaster himself.
He's spinning the wheels.
He's spinning the wheels.
I've got to do something other than spin the wheels with this internet. Yes, thanks very much for the intro, Alex. I appreciate this space and time. So, thank you for the intro.
No worries. So yes, again, the slides created by Gabriel, really good. I've reviewed them. I've seen them. I've dotted the I's and crossed the T's. And Gabriel's done the bulk part of my job with this disclaimer. This is not financial advice. This we're going to be talking about for the next hour is based on our own personal experiences. If you are wanting to be mentored by the Grandmaster Flash himself, Ralph, or any other of the guys on the platform, the email is in the description box. Send me an email and I will point you in the right direction. So, Gab, I'm going to let you take it away, man. Rich Dad, Poor Dad.
Yeah, Rich Dad, Poor Dad. I think this is one of my favorite books, and we've spoken previously about other books which have inspired us and everything, but I think this was a kind of like a wake-up call, because the reason why people talk about Rich Dad, Poor Dad, number one is it's turning a lot of things on its head based on the normal system in terms of education and how we make money. And secondly, it's a simplicity as well. So in way you're talking, telling us a great story in the book itself, it tells a great story that everyone can follow, and it kind of makes sense. Whether you agree with it is another thing, but I think it makes absolute sense. And if you really do know about what goes on, especially in the last 40 or so years, it absolutely makes sense. So there you go. So what we've done here is we've taken a lot of just some of the main summaries of the book itself, the main points, the book, and we just we take it away and just have a chat. Maybe they'll pitch in and while we go through these phrases. All right. So let's start with this main phrase here. The main reason that over 90% of American public, or let's say the American public, struggles. And the reason why he said that is because obviously he lives in America. But I would say that we're talking about the Western world, the world itself. Why the struggles financially is because they play not to lose. They don't play to win. Now, you look at that, that's probably a lot of things. What does that actually mean? What do you mean they play not to lose, play not to win? So what that means is you're not willing to actually go in and say to yourself, listen, I've got, I'm gonna go in for this. I've got nothing to lose. I want to go in for this, right? I want to win, right? So when you go in and saying I want to win, and you just look at the prize rather than looking at the other way to say, what if I lose? Obviously, what does that mean? It means that you're not looking at the prize. So therefore, you're not forthcoming in terms of what your goal is, right? So that's what it really means. All right, go on to the next one. Okay. So we start with that. Right. So, I mean, previously in the other, I think we did one of the calls a few weeks back. He spoke about this, and that's the main thing he spoke, which is the basis of basis of what Robert Kiyosaki talks about in his in Rich Dad Poor Dad about the cash flow quadrant. And this, based on that book, he actually drew up the cash flow quadrant, and we spoke about this a few weeks back when we talk about the employee, right? And you can see with the arrows, right? So what that means is that you generally the general progression is going from the employee where you have a job, and then you move into the self-employed because you become an expert in that field or in that job, and you say, you know what, I'm an expert, and I can actually how do you say, become a self-employed, a self-employed person, and actually offer my services for my expertise, right? So that's what this talks about. So, and then you move into that, and then you go to this, and that's great in itself. Having a job is obviously you're paid by your time. Self-employed is okay. You're expert in your job, but at the same time, your time is leveraged, although you are getting paid more self-employed, right? And then the risk is more on yourself. Even though you're earning more, you're the one who's actually running the show for yourself and making sure that your income is forthcoming.
Gabs, sorry to interject, but is it not possible to be each of those segments at one time? Can you not be an employee, self-employed, a business owner, and an investor at the same time?
It'd be a mad way to do it. So it'd be a crazy way to do it. So the thing is, you can be. I've seen people where, well, I don't think I've ever seen an employee and a self-employed. Right. I don't see many. Yeah, I don't see many of those. You can be an employee, right? Still,
Yeah.
and you can move, and that's why we've got these arrows. And you can still be. You can say, okay, I'm an employee, and I can own a business as well, because you are employed, because you're employed, but you say to yourself, I've got a business on the side, or I own a business on the side. Do you know what I mean? And I'm building that up, and so on. So that's what you can do, right? So that's one. The same with an investor as well. All right. So from an employee and investor, and so what it means is that being an employee and you can be either an employee, right, and any of those the business owner and the investor, or a self-employed and be a business owner or investor. I don't really see an investor, because it's just crazy trying to be an employee and self-employed, because the amount of time you have to leverage is just crazy. I mean, you can do it, but it is just you just don't have enough time to do it. Yeah. I'd tell you, unless you so if you
No, I was going to say,
done that. Yeah, go on.
Well, I'm just thinking of Ricardo, because I know the business opportunity that you are in, as well as you work, full time in education.
Yeah.
You're already in two of those quadrants, aren't you?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So you're an employee, right? One.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. And then he must be a business owner. He has got his own business. So you've got your own business.
Yeah.
Yeah.
On the side. There you go. That's what I'm saying. So you can be an employee and a business, or you can be a self-employed or business owner, right? And even with being a business owner, you can be an investor as well.
Right.
But what I'm trying to say is, I've never seen, or hardly, I don't think I know anybody who has been an employee and a self-employed at the same time. And is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I do know a couple of people who've done that in the past. They've
Employee and a self-employed.
yeah, they've had their own business. They're
There you
self-employed,
go.
but
Wait. Own
no, they're
business.
self-employed on a part-time basis, but they're also an employee as well.
No, let's not get it wrong though. Oh, is it a business they own?
Yes. Yeah.
Right. So you got to understand the distinction between self-employed and business owner. Because self-employed, it can be like a contractor who's still on the pay what do they call it, the payroll
PAY.
itself, from a tax perspective, right? So you still pay the normal taxes like you do as an employee, but the only difference
Right.
is, right, you're the one who dictates how much you get paid because of the income that's coming in and how much you use for expenses and everything. That's what you got your own accountant to do all that stuff. Totally different. Now, when you're a business owner, it's totally, you know what I mean? Now you're talking about in corporate tax, all those benefits for a business owner. Those two, you got to understand the distinction.
Okay.
Does that make sense? Yeah. So that's what you got to understand the distinction. So that's it. And the people, it's a fair enough statement what you're saying, but people do get those two mixed up, right? Saying, well, I'm self-employed. Okay, yeah, I'm self-employed, but I own a business. Okay, are you self-employed in the case of how you're still on the payroll? When I say payroll, the way you do your tax as a self or a sole trader. That's the one that's used, the sole trader. Or are you someone who owns a business from a corporate perspective, paying corporate tax and all the corporate incentives you get for a business owner?
Okay.
All right, let's do it.
Yeah, I understand a bit.
Does that make sense? Yep. Yeah. And obviously you got the investor as well, which is obviously you can be employee, you can be self-employed, even a business owner, any of those three, and be an investor as well. All right. That's all good. All right. And so now, Poor Dad, this is what the main thing he talks about is in his book, right? Was the Poor Dad. Poor Dad, he said that go to, well, I put that in there. Sorry, the spelling mistake there. Go to school, read academic books, get a job, work 40 hours a week, acquit a bad debt. What does a bad debt mean? I'm saying that means you get your you get your HEX debt, what they call it for student loans. Then you get your credit card. Then you get your mortgage and all that. So that's that's what we acquit as bad debt. We can't call it as good debt. Good debt is getting a loan on a business that eventually is going to make you leverage it and it's going to make you money. That's good debt. All right. And then the thing is that and then based on that, he retires poor. So even though he's in a good job, did all the academics, great, all that sort of thing, when it comes to retire, he retired poor. What does that mean? You're getting to the point where it's just your pension.
That's it.
A few investments will probably, it's probably making, I'll say managed funds or whatever, probably getting a bit of money. But have you got assets that are making you money over time? That's what's saying. He's saying that no, most of these people just retire poor in the sense that their money is just dwindling based on just the pension. So the rich dad, different philosophy and mindset. He said, go to school if you want, which is great. So no one says you shouldn't go to school because you have to go. I think you have to go to school, and I think it's essential, right? Read finance. Upon all that stuff of going to school, reading finance, education books. They're saying here, start a business. Why you start a business? Because it teaches you how to manage. It's a good way to start and how to manage money as well. And obviously doing business makes you savvy about a lot of things financially. You're hiring people, travel around the world, and then retire young. Yeah, I think I look at that. I think that's how a lot of people can go down this route. One of what they're thinking to do, retire young. When we say retire young, what that actually means is not actually, finishing what what you did as a business or whatever, and then putting your feet up. What it means is that you retire to do the things that you
Well,
want to do.
Mm.
So whether you become a philanthropist, whether you want to teach people or mentor people, things like you want, it's almost like you want to give back. So that's things like that with the when they say retiring young. So therefore they're not working too hard. All right. So I just got this on here. So here's your rich dad here. I saw your poor dad on the left. Sorry, I'll say on the left. On the poor dad's on the right. The rich dad's on the left. So he says, here on the left, it says money brings power. Not having money is the root or cause of all evil. Right. So it's a totally different way people turn around and say, and a lot of people turn around and say, money is the root of all evil or cause of all evil. And I look at that and I go, well, it depends how you say it. I said, yes, I think depending how you see money and how you deal with money, it can be the root or can be the root of evil. No question about it. But if it's done with with goodness in the heart and everything, it can be done with a great deed. So, the other side says take good education and open your own company and give jobs to others. That's the kind of philosophy of his rich dad. Father, the poor dad, his real dad, but that's been his real dad, said, we can't afford, obviously we can't afford it. Yeah, take high education, find a good job, all that stuff. So basically, just repeat what we had in the other slide, just a pictorial thing here, and just saying that this is the philosophy of rich, the rich dad on the left and the right, and the rich dad on the, it's a totally different mindset, right? Let's move on to the next slide. So there we go. So one dad had a habit of saying, "I can't afford it." The other dad forbade those words to be used. He insisted, "I ask, how can I afford it?" One is a statement, and the other is a question. One lets off the hook, and the other forces you to think. Right? Because it's so easy to say, right? So easy to say, I can't afford it. I can't afford it. And when I say I can't afford it, you can't afford it. I mean, what we're talking about is you're getting to that point where a lot of things you do, especially if it's essential that you need to buy, invest in your education or invest in something, and you turn around and say, I can't afford it, right? And what they're saying is that you have to find a way to afford it, whatever it makes. What you're going to get yourself into a snake because you can't go every single time in your life and say, I can't afford it. I can't afford it. You have to change that get to the point where I go, okay, I'm going to work towards it so that I can afford it. And that's it. Okay, I can't afford it right now. Okay, that's fine. But I'm going to make sure I'm going to work till I get to that point where I can afford it. And then that changes the whole game in your way of thinking and what you do. Yeah, next one. And so just based on that, I've seen many times that I've got into situations, and I've seen other examples where people look at something and it is so essential that they get or purchase what they need because it's going to change their lives. And you turn around and say, I can't afford it. But you have to find a way to say, okay, I've got to find the money to afford it. And if you are persistent and strong-willed enough, you will find the money to get it. That as I've definitely come across many times in my experience. I'm sure a lot of people have found that the same thing.
You know, Gabs, as you were just talking there, and those words, I can't afford it. I've got my mum ringing in my ears many times when I was asking mum, I want this, mum, or I want that. And she would always say, you know what, we can't afford it. We can't afford it. And we can't afford it. As she can write. And that for me, it taught me to be patient. If anything, because I was working at that time, again, doing the paper rounds with Ralph, then, if mum can't afford it, then Alex, you save up and you buy it.
There
You
go.
buy it with your own money, But
That teaches
yeah,
us.
they can't
Yeah,
afford
yeah.
it.
So even you look at that in itself, the parents saying that, and then you don't know whether they're using that as kind of like a way to get you to motivate you to do something.
Absolutely.
And I think
Absolutely.
that's so you have to understand the mentality there from their perspective. Okay, you know what? I'm not going to keep giving you money.
Yeah.
Where it's easy, easy come, easy go. Do you know what I mean? I can't teach. That's not a good way to teach you life. You got to, you got to hustle and graft a bit in order to get what you want. And I totally agree with it. Yeah, that makes sense. So that, especially from a young age, I think it's great. Yeah, absolutely.
So Ricardo, what about so you've got a daughter? If she said, Dad, Dad, I want this iPad. Dad, I want this iPhone.
Well, the thing is, Malika already has jobs to do every weekend, and she get paid for the jobs. She needs to do all that, collect all the paper that we're now using, take it to a trader. She has different jobs that Tracy had created for her, and she get paid for that. So if she wanted, she needs to work for it. So this is the whole concept idea. And then she has a little money box where the money box is divided into different sections. When she needs to put for I don't know, for different things, and there is one that is to give away for charity. So we're already trying to break the concept and teach her something. First of all, you need to work for the money. Your money, we won't give you. I won't give you money. I mean, I can help you, but you need to work for it. And the other thing is, even when you get your money, it's about thinking what you're going to do with your money, how are you going to spend your money. So, yeah, definitely. I mean, I will never say. I cannot afford it, but we will find a way, or you will find a way how to do it. Think about it. Come back to me with an idea, and we can discuss it.
That's right. That's right. Yeah.
And Ralph, your daughter, Dad, I want the iPad. Dad, I want this, Dad. Do you say I can't afford it, or you say here it is?
Yeah. Or what do you say? Here you go.
Who's that aimed at? Me?
Yeah,
Yes.
you.
Okay. Just to go back to what you guys have been discussing, it's a mentality thing. We're often influenced by the people that we love. So, as I sort of alluded earlier, when our parents told us that they couldn't afford anything, they were coming from they had a different strategy. Sorry, can you hear me still? Because can you hear me still?
Yes, your mic's a little bit crackly, but we can hear you.
Yeah, I'm trying to source the crackle.
Yeah.
Okay,
better
so as
now,
I was
better.
saying,
It's better now. Yeah, it's better.
as I was saying, so our parents came from a source of truth because of what they were fed. So their mentality was shaped over time. Now, the children of our parents, we've realized that when you say you can't afford something, it's not really real. You may not be able to afford the item at this present moment in time, but to say you can't afford it kind of like narrows your field of opportunity. So with my daughter, I have to say that I don't say to her, I can't afford it. I will say to her, well, maybe not at this time, but let's see what is possible for later on. Let's see if we can
There you
strategize
go.
a time when it can become affordable. So
Yeah.
I can actually do it. I'm a
Yeah.
person that I've, and Alex would allude as well. I don't like saying I don't like to say I can't do something. I'd rather say, well,
So
let me give it a go, or let me see what's possible, or what is
Mm.
the challenge. I'd rather try and use my mind
you
in a
go.
positive kind of frame mind than to say I can't do it. Because if I say I can't do it, then as far as I'm concerned, it can't be done. But the evidence shows that it can be done. You just don't know what strategy to use to get it done.
Yeah.
Correct, correct.
So
There you go. So that's exactly, Ralph. Good point. Very good point. Because as we said here, you see, just saying I can't afford it just lets you off the hook, doesn't it? It's
Yeah.
just you
Yeah.
don't want to face it and then go, okay, you just go right. The discussion closed, right? Can't
Mm.
afford it. Whereas, as you said, what you do is you figure out, okay, let's think about it. As it says here, it forces you to think
I think.
and makes you think of what strategy we can use or in order for you to get you to afford it or to purchase it, because there's obviously a way to. It may not, as you said, it may not happen right there at that point in time,
Mm.
right? But being patient, it will eventually, you can eventually get there and afford it. Absolutely right. Yeah, good
if I
point.
can add on something that I saw your podcast a couple of weeks ago, and Alex said that how Mum will always say, God rest her, she'll always say, don't put your hat where you can't reach it. And I used to have a cheeky response to that because Alex would tell you I'm the cheeky one out of the family. Everybody knows that. I think it's just my way. I have to say that I always had, as far as I can remember, because our mums used to do Tupperware. She used to do Tupperware as a business. When we look at entrepreneurial skills, our parents were entrepreneurial, but they didn't see it that way. They saw it as trying to earn money on top of the jobs that they were doing during the daytime. But they had the skills that a present entrepreneur would appreciate. They knew they had to get more money. They knew they had to utilize the time to get it before they went back to their proper jobs. So mum used to do Tupperware. And I used to have this kind of curiosity because mum would often say, Ralph, don't put your hat where you can't reach it. And I said, but hang a minute, mum, who put the peg up there? And sometimes she look at me and she didn't like me responding because what I did, I suppose, in my kind of innocent kind of way was, okay, so if that's the peg and I can reach it, I know there's another peg that's going to be further from the peg I am at the moment, but somebody must have been there to reach it. And it may sound kind of simplistic in its explanation, but that's the kind of inbuilt mindset I always had. I always disliked some of my best friends had action men and toys and all kinds of stuff. And I would did pester my mum to the point where she probably would have got my dad involved. Got her dad involved, just to say, because just to keep that kind of like request down. But in years to come, and again, reaching the age I am, it's opened up a lot more possibilities. We are now in an age where there's a lot more information. We have to try and sift through what is possible and what is practical and what is good and sustainable, rather
Mhm.
than getting something now and it's like a McDonald's burger. Sorry if I'm using if I'm using a brand, but you know what I mean. When you eat the McDonald's meal, it satisfies you just for a moment, but you're hungry again in about 2 hours time. You want to
Mhm.
have a proper meal that sustain you until you're hungry again.
Right.
So the mentality is definite. Kiyosaki and Rich Dad Poor Dad, like I said to the guys earlier, I came across this book in '97. It's great having those kind of information, but information has to lead to action. Otherwise, it's just information that's going to sit there dormant.
Mm.
Correct.
Yeah. Yeah.
Absolutely. 100%. 100%. All right. All right. So 6 lessons financial, right? Um, Summers. It said the financially free. Lesson one: the financially free don't work for money. Right? We know that. I think there's many examples of that. They don't actually work for money because you know the money works for them. So the financially free work for financial literacy. Number 2. That's the number 2. That's the number 3. Right? To become financially free, you have to mind your own business. And you go, what do you mean mind your own business? It's not like, I mean, when I saw that at first, I thought, that sounds like that program went at least way back in the day, mind your own business, or mind your own, well, I can't remember what it was. Mind your own business? I can't
I think mind your own language, wasn't it?
Mind your
Mind
own
your
language.
language.
Yeah.
You might, exactly, mind your own. But mind your own business. So what that actually means is, not business per se. Mind your own, whatever your own financial things. Don't get anybody to do everything for you financially. Because people sometimes say, "Oh, I'll get, in terms of my taxes and things like that. I'm just going to get some, the accountant to do it all for me and everything like that." It's great. Get your accountant to do all the admin stuff and everything, but you need to understand what you,
How I do it.
in terms of your finances, what's going in, what's going out, what you're spending your money on, and things like that. You have to understand that. You have to really take care of that rather than just not having a kid. So that's what it actually means: making sure that you are actually diligent enough to actually take care of your thing. I've got, I know some people I know who just, I try to help them with certain things. When it comes to particular platforms that I'm helping them in order for them to get passive income. A lot of them, what they don't like to do is they don't want to sort of go in and understand it, read it, and learn it, and then try and do things themselves. They just expect everyone else to, someone else to actually do it for them. So sometimes this person expects me to do it for them, and I'm thinking to myself, it's your money, it's your investment, or blah blah blah. You know what I mean? So why don't you learn about it, take care of it, so that you get better at it? Because every time you come to me after the fact, it's just after the fact. So things like that. So that's what I'm saying. So always be, whenever you put your money in something, learn about it, educate yourself about it. That's what it means by mind your own business. All right. So the financially lesson 4, the financially free study taxes and the power of corporations. Right. So this is why we're talking about the earlier on when we talk about the business. Right. Right. So when you're owning the business, you have to study the taxes, because you have to understand the tax incentives you get for owning a business and how you leverage that, right? And understand the power of corporations, basically all the legislation, what happens with corporations, because corporations do get tax breaks and other kind of breaks as well, whatever they can. So that's why a lot of the wealthy decides to put their money, their money in owning a business because of those tax breaks. Right. So, for instance, corporation taxes is far lower than income tax.
Mhm.
All right. So, the financially free invent money. All right. What that means, they just get creative with it. They just, get have money here, and then they invest in something that they see as an opportunity, and invent money. And what happens then? That whatever they invent, whether it's real estate, whether it's in a particular managed fund, whether it's in a you know stocks, things like that. And they usually, when you're pretty wealthy like that, they get to know about a lot of the ones which have just come up, I guess, or with stocks are very low and about to appreciate rapidly within the next year or so. So they get to know it early, because you have to get in early in order for you to make money, right? In most of these things, or to make a lot more money anyway. Um, and it says lesson 6: to become financially free, work to learn, right? And then don't work for money. And that's what it all says. So going based on the first lesson. So don't work for money. So eventually you want to get to the point where you don't work for money, where money works for you. That's where you want to get to, especially, after all your hard work. Um, next slide. I think it was the next slide, is it? Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. So yeah. So I'm just going to just go through these boxes very quickly. By the way, I'm just going to say, is anything else, based on the other slides, anything you guys want to pitch in? We've got into this one.
No, I think I was just thinking about that when you talk about financial, literacy. The big majority of people out there, they don't understand. They don't know. When you start reading the book, I've been even playing the audio to my daughter. I've been kind of playing around. Um, he say, Robert said, the big majority of people, what happening is they are leading by the emotion, but also they don't know anything about making money. They are not, they are not educated, and we are not educated. Of course, your emotion will take over, and if you don't know what you're doing, or you don't know anywhere better, or you don't try to explore anywhere better, you keep doing the same thing
Yeah.
until you die. So for me, financial education is everything. But again, you will never learn in the school. The school will never teach you financial education.
No,
Our
no, I
kids.
don't. And you know what? You know what? Based on the other thing as well, even at school, right? You can see, because some of you can see that ones that can be entrepreneurs, because there's some kids at school who had things and they sold it. Do you know what I mean? They made up
Yeah,
some things and they sold it in order to make some money here and there. Do you know what I mean? Just those kids just come up, they see them in the playground and they got something and they're selling, they're selling it to the kids, to their peers. Look at that. You see what I mean? And
yeah,
even in that itself, you see, even the school's not teaching us, but they're actually learning how to make money.
yeah,
You know what I mean?
yeah.
It's the main
But
that's
but
somebody's, yeah,
but even still, these kids they're learning how to make money. They are they are at some point they just want the money. Just want the money because they want to do something with the money. But it's about emotion. But what I'm talking about is that things when you are not emotionally attached to the money. That bit it takes time to understand. It takes time for your brain to process the information. When you are making money but you're not emotionally attached to the money, you see
yeah,
money as it's something else that will
yep,
bring a different product. You know what I mean?
yeah,
So
yeah, 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 yeah,
that's,
yeah,
but that will
yeah,
take financial literacy that unfortunately is not giving out there for us. We need to find a way.
yeah,
to
yeah,
get that.
yeah,
You
yeah,
know?
yeah, and that's a really good point with the emotional attachment, because
Mhm.
trying to dissociate someone, because of the way your parents grew up, and at times were
Can you
struggling,
hear me,
and then
guys?
felt that.
Yeah, we can hear you. Yeah.
You can hear you now. We can hear
So,
you.
because
Yeah,
my sound's dipping, and of course it's the Wi-Fi, so I think the house is
yeah,
full.
yeah. Yeah, it's
Um,
okay. Yeah, sorry.
just looking at those 6 lessons of Rich Dad Poor Dad, I think pretty much what Ricardo alluded to as well is the fact that in some cases financial literacy you don't really learn that. It's not a skill taught in school. I know when I was in school that I wasn't taught. Maybe our children's generation that might be slightly more aware of financial literacy, purely because the knock-on effect from decades of mismanaged money, potentially pensions and stocks and shares in the past, has made people think, well, you know what, actually, I'm earning money, whether it's through work or whether it's independent. I need to be more in charge of my financial knowledge. Now, my late brother-in-law, he came into the business as a an apprentice, and he's always juggling with numbers. He even helped his partner's family manage books. I think if you're number inclined, then it comes easy. It's like reading. You have favorite books and you read comics or whatever. when it comes to financial literacy, it can be like a boring subject until you start earning so much money. You need to start understanding what to do with it. And I think that's also the reason why maybe some high skilled sports people, they tend to go on the wrong side of things, because their main mentality is to become physically well known and well loved and everything else through a sport. But when they've got the people behind them to do the books, they're only as competent as they are aware. And if they're not competent, then that's the reason why some people tend to go on the side of bankruptcy. So there's a lot of information about these days now than there would have been back then. It is all about responsibility. I'm just making some notes while Gabriel and Ricardo was talking. I was listening to Brian Tracy tape years ago, and he said about the age of responsibility. When you're a baby up to the age of 16, your parents are responsible for you. From the time you're 16 onwards, you're responsible for yourself. And I don't think that kind of information is, unless you're looking out for it, it's not widely known, unless you're in a really good place with family, with mentors, with role models. So that's Brian Tracy. Also with Bob Proctor, I listened to a lot of Bob Proctor lately as well. He talks about a 90-day gestation period for any idea. We always want things quick. Our children always want things quick. But the understanding about having an idea and moving it into form so it becomes a actual thing takes time. And if we don't explain that to the people in our lives, then, or even, no matter what kind of influence you have, there's always going to be a kind of unsettling feeling of wanting something and not ever achieving it. If you can say to someone, if you teach the principles to your family, look, okay, you want this thing, nothing wrong with it, but this is the work, and these are incremental steps to it. And you have to be consistent, you have to be disciplined. Discipline is a very, very challenging aspect of any kind of skill, and consistent. Once you put those foundations in place, then I think that whatever somebody wants, whether it's your kids or your spouse or whoever's in your life, when you set those kind of perimeters around, that is when it is possible to get the thing that they want.
Yeah.
But it's all foundation. And I think sometimes the foundations are mislaid or haven't been explained well, because whether it's teachers or role models don't have the necessary time to actually explain those things to you. It's like you have to find those things yourself, and often when you find those things yourself, it's a very harsh lesson in some cases.
Can I just say something very quickly before we move on, Gabs? I'm going to blow, sorry, Ralph, your philosophy out of the water.
Okay.
I think it's very, very easy for young people to make money very, very quickly. With the advent of social media, a person who should not be on TikTok, and I hear a lot of times children who should not be on there are creating videos and they're making money. You can create a YouTube channel and make a lot of money. So it is about educating those kids, but at what point where they're making money and they understand with their emotions, forget about the emotions and concentrate on actually building generational wealth. I hear it so many times, Ricardo, with the kids I work with. They're on YouTube, they're on TikTok, they're fighting on TikTok, but they're making money through TikTok. I said, well, do your parents know? No, my parents don't know. Well, I said, you shouldn't be on there anyway. But they're making money. At that age, I was never making that amount of money. But I think for me, knowing the experience and working with these young kids, it's easy to make money. It's so easy.
Alex, sorry to jump in. I'm going to try and see if I can counter your not your understanding, but your experience. Yes, it's very easy these days. We're talking. I made a note from the 60s, for example. Work was work. 70s there was high unemployment. In the 80s we had the boom bust economy. in the 90s, where the age of network marketing and internet, and at the beginning of the century was the .com era. Those areas, if you were 60 in the 60s, you had a pension. You worked very hard for that money, and that money was there for you because the government or the state said it was. Going through those decades, we've seen that pot is going smaller and smaller. I mean, my age group, we're baby boomers. We was told back then in the 80s and 90s that there may not be enough money for everyone who's a baby boomer. So that was a financial literacy that woke my age group up. I'm not saying for everyone, I'm just saying for myself. Now we're in the age of where you can drop a video. Everything's very, very quick. It's fast food quick. But there is no principle behind it. There's no foundation behind it. Okay, that person, that teenager, may have come from an impoverished family that wanted to make money, no matter how it is. There is no moral compass in certain areas. There is no foundation. Maybe the fact that they want to put food on the table because their parents are out of work. There's a lot of experiences with the generation back, I have to say 2 generations back, because money at the time was was a goal to achieve. You either became very rich, i.e., scratch cards, lottery, bingo. Doesn't take much imagination. All you got to do is just come up with 6 numbers. Some people come really quick with earning that money, but then it's the financial understanding about, okay, so if I've accumulated this wealth, what do I do with it? And if they don't know where to go, if they don't have the people behind them to say this is what you got to do, then they end up coming back down the ladder because there was no foundation to prop them up.
Yeah, I think what Alex was saying is that I think he was just saying that nowadays, because I think you were saying that in terms of making money, right? Especially when we went back in our day, right? So now it's a lot easier for younger generations to make money, and it is. It's more accessible for them to do it, right? The thing is, as you're saying, and I think Alex, was kind of saying that, is the principles behind it. All right, the principle behind it is not there, because these young,
Exactly.
do you know what I mean? These young ones, even though they've made their money and everything, they'll be boasting on. You can see you see what they'll be saying. They're boasting on the internet and saying, I made so and so amount of money, da 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 da, and you know what I mean. And that's not the way. It's not for you to boast it like that, right?
Yeah, but then Gabriel, but again, they're only boasting because they don't have the principle.
Yeah. That's exactly what I'm saying.
Yeah.
That's exactly what I'm saying. Because the principles are not behind it. The reason why, so you shouldn't be boasting like that. Because at the end of the day, if you are mature enough and you've attained wealth, right? There's a level of humbleness. There's a level of humbleness. There's a level of understanding, right? And in a way, you know what I mean. And then, as you said, it gets to the point where you then know how to, because of your financial literacy, because a lot of these young ones don't have that financial literacy. I'm telling you now, that to get to the point, they'll just lose it, because they go and spend it on things like that, because it's all about spending, rather than taking that money and saying, "No, I'm gonna." And I'm not saying that all of them, because I've seen some young ones who bloody get it. I mean, I look at them, go, wow. You know, man, you're on point. You got it. But there's a lot of them. But I say the majority of them just go and spend money on, with the money they've made. Just spend it on expensive whatever it is, right? And then blow it like that. Whereas, the principles, the real principles behind it is that what you do in the money in order for you to make money. This is why we talk about, this rich dad, poor dad. If you had that money, what are you going to do with it?
Exactly.
buy a business. You can buy a business which, or you can build your own business based on the money, or invest it in a good instruments. All that in order for you to make more money. So those principles, so that's learning, and yes, that's another learning curve in order for you to build, because the only way you're going to learn is by actually doing. You know what I mean? So that's it. That's it. So yeah, definitely, that's how you build those principles, those right principles of being financial freedom.
Gabs, I need to go into the live chat. There's been just a couple of comments I want to just read out,
Oh,
and
sure.
actually it's quite topical. And this the last one. They're saying here, what advice would you give to a young person? Ricardo, I don't want to put you on the spot, Ricardo, but what advice would you give to a young person?
That question comes up quite a lot.
It does.
It's so funny that a person came up with it, because I wrote down.
I mean, to be honest, as we always say, if I knew what I know now when I was younger,
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure, man,
yeah,
I would have killed the game, because information is there. By the time we were young, we didn't have that kind of a opportunity in terms of learning. The information is there, the vehicle is there. It's just take commitment and discipline to do it, and just look around you. I mean, look around you. Look at how people are living. There is another way. So if you are John, this is the time. This is the time to be getting that book. There's time to be putting that knowledge and doing something with your life. That is not, because life is not just a good job, pay the bills, get a car, get a mortgage. No, that's not life. There's something on the other side better than that. So if you are John,
100%,
just
100%.
go for it. You need to go for it, but it needs to come within you. You cannot wish you more. I cannot wish you more than you.
yeah,
Okay, you need to.
yeah.
This is the thing. Sometimes when we are the kids and we come on, you have to do it. But then it comes to a point that it needs to come within them and say, you know what? Yes, let's go and do it. And then happen. And then happen. Because
Yeah.
too many
So,
things are there. Too
yeah.
many
So
things.
yeah.
No.
All right. So I've got. So as I said, I wrote it down. Funny enough, that person asked that question, because I remember somebody did ask this question some weeks back. Now I'll tell you this. And this is interesting, because I tell you, for a young person, what advice would you give? Learn Monopoly, play Monopoly,
You say it.
play
Yeah.
Monopoly. I swear. Let me tell you something. That changed my son's. And let me tell you something. That's how my son is an entrepreneur. As soon as he did it, he understood financially, and I used to understand. He just got so good at it. He would always win because he understood it. His youngest brother would always go. He just look at cash. He would just go, okay, I'm gonna accumulate cash, right? In Monopoly, what my son did, he said, right, first of all, I'm gonna own all the properties, and then put all the so basically all the whether it's the station, blah blah blah, and I'm gonna then put the properties on it, and then when you land on it, ching ching, ching ching, ching ching. There you go.
The money work for you.
Money works for you.
There's another comment. Yeah. So I can't read that. It says, I'm confused, Gabriel. You can. I can't read it. I've got my glasses.
It can be.
You can be each of those four at the same time. Just manage your time effectively. I think they're talking about the cash flow quadrant.
The cash flow quadrant. Yeah. And what I say is, but you must understand, as long as you understand what is the difference between self-employed and business, right? So, sorry, I should say it. That's fine. That's fine. But the thing is, what you're probably saying is that you can be a employed person and a self-employed. I would like someone to give me an example of that. Not the business owner, but someone who's self-employed. Um, as I said, let's understand the distinction between self-employed and business owner, right? Because some people say, "Oh, I'm self-employed." So what they turn around and say, "Oh, well, oh, so you own a business," but that could be a sole trader. So understand when we say self-employed, it means sole trader. So do understand that. So if the person is confused, sorry, is confused, but understand that that's a sole trader, not a business owner. That's what you have to understand when we talk about that, right? And people turn around and go, "Well, if I'm self-employed, well, I've got a business." No, yeah, but you're not quite. You have to understand from a legislative point of view, you have not in from a you're not having a corporation where you say I'm registered my company as a corporation and it's now a business, and then you've got all the business incentives or the tax incentives and etc. all that which involve it. Being a self-employed, you can be a I've been self-employed, right? I've been self-employed, and um and then I changed it so that I became a business owner because I registered the company as registered my company as a company rather than a sole trader. So
Yeah.
you have to understand that. Sorry to confuse them, but it does require. If you read it up, you'll see what I'm talking about. So I can't actually go into this in major detail, but there's a lot behind it that you have to understand.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay. And the last one I think is related to Ralph about the Grandmaster title that he has there, Grandmaster. All right, Gabs, I believe we've still got some more slides to go through.
Let's go through that one. Yeah, run through this quickly. Goodness me. All right. So yeah, just going through some of the key points here. Obviously, we talked about financial education. Stresses the importance of understanding how money works, emphasizing financial literacy over traditional education. Right.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So yes, traditional education is traditional. It's following a curriculum. We know that there's a curriculum to be followed, and it's for the masses. You know what I mean? Almost like that one, almost like one size fits all. But we have to talk about, emphasizing financial literacy because we don't learn that at school, and I know we don't. Yeah, and the reason why we don't because as he mentions, traditionally, it's within their interest to keep you poor.
Yeah.
What does that mean? Do you know what I mean? And when I saw that, I was like, you read you listen to his statement, and you go, and I remember watching the video of him. He said, "Yeah, they want to keep you poor." And then the guys were asking, "Why would they want to keep you poor?" Well, it's within their interest to them to keep you poor because they want you to pay the taxes. They want you to, be in a job, struggling, earning a particular wage, paying off a mortgage. You get your money in the bank, and then it pays off the mortgage and everything. All in there in control, and then to the point.
Control. That's the word.
It's all control. It's all control. And that's it. So that's it. And that's what he said. That is the truth. They have to see, it's within their interest to know what you've got, what you earn, and what you do with, what you're doing with your money.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. So next one. Opportunity seeker. Yeah. Constantly looks for financial opportunities, believes in creating wealth through innovative ideas. Absolutely. We talk about that, whether you're finding investment instruments or investing in a business, you see all the opportunities are there when your mindset is setting us in looking at, financial literacy. Assets over liabilities. Boy, this is a very interesting. This is this about asset and liabilities, right? Assets. People turn around and go, "My home is an asset." It's not. It's a liability. Yep. And reason why what does the asset mean? Asset means if you've got investment property, that's an asset.
Yeah.
right? So you own that. So yes, you kind of own that property if you could own it, and then at the same time, it's your property, but it's actually giving you it's giving you income. Then that's an asset. That's a different. You have to change that mindset. People turn around. The government or the bank will turn around and say, "Look, you know, they're trying to do a credit check on you and everything like that," and they say, "Well, can you list your assets, your car, your house, the da 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 and everything?" And you look at them. That's not assets. In their book, it's an asset. They just try and make it and put it that way. But the real thing about assets is we have to understand from a financial point of view is it has to earn you income, right? Whether it's business, yeah, whether it's a business, it earns you income. Whether it's a property that earns you income, whatever it is, right? Your stocks and income, things like that. Okay, so they again being investment savvy encourages investing in assets like real estate, stocks, business, teaching, value of making money work for you. There you go. We just spoke about that. Embraces risk, right? We talked about risk a few week ago or so. I think it was. Yeah, we did.
Well, it was last week, isn't it? Yeah,
Yeah, last week we
calculating
talked
risk.
about risk.
Yeah, yeah.
We see how everything's come into, almost full circle because everything is just based on it. So embraces risk, views risks taking as part of learning. Exactly. When we said it, it has to be. That's when you take a risk, you learn from it, right? And growing financially promotes learning from failures and setbacks. Definitely, we spoke about that. Entrepreneurial mindset. I think I can say that Ricardo has come up with that mindset thing about entrepreneurial mindset many times. Advocates for starting and owning businesses as part to wealth rather than solely relying on employment.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Academic focus, right? Places high value on formal education, academic achievement, and the pursuit of college degree. So now we look at these ones on which are yellow. So I should say in these yellow. Okay, it's different it's all based on the poor dad, I should say, right? Risk avoidance, right? Why do risk avoidance? You can see that you try to avoid risk, and we did talk about that again. Generally cautious about financial ventures and investments, being very, I guess, risk averse, preferring stability over potential gains,
Same
right?
place.
Yeah, and we prefer stability. And as I said before, I think we're saying that same thing. Somebody asked the question and said, I think last week someone said, but isn't it when you as soon as you, I think someone said, as soon as you get out of bed, or I can't remember what the statement was. As soon as you get out of bed is a risk.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was last week. Yeah.
Last week, wasn't it? As soon as you get out of bed,
last
I
week.
said it. Yeah. I said yes, absolutely. You can stay in bed and think you're safe, but obviously you're not going to get anywhere. And you can stay in bed for days and days and days. And goodness me, let me tell you something. You're not going to wake up. I mean, the time you wake up, you actually decide to get up. It's not going to be good. Your body's going to cave in or something, right? So where's the risk there? See what I mean? So there's a risk there. So yes, risk is getting up. As soon as you get up, you could have it. You could. We'll say this. As soon as you get up, as soon as you're vertical, the risk is there. So you're walking, you can trip, whatever the things, and then you start doing things. Start thinking, everything. As soon as your day starts, you're doing it. There's a risk. You find that something's going. You get a call or something happens, and everything. Yeah, absolutely. Boy. But I know what I'd rather do. So, so misunderstanding assets. Yes, often confused. This is what I just talked about. Often confuses liabilities with assets. A liability. So I didn't mention about assets, but I did. I did mention the assets, but I just didn't say about a liability. Your home is a liability. Your car is a liability. Why is it a liability? Because it takes money from your pocket. right, from your hard-earned income. It takes it away rather than it giving it to you, right? Remember that.
Where does that concept leave the wife?
I wouldn't want to go
Gabe was not saying anything. Neither am I.
Yeah. let me just expand on that, right? Let me just expand on that because yes, experiences, and it's been a sometimes especially back in the early days, it's been a contention about yes, the car and you spend on your car or all these things, the liabilities, right? I then turn around and say, listen, you can have those. We can have those. It's all very well we can have those, but we must understand what comes first, right?
Yeah.
So you got to make sure that you build up the assets, right? And people turn around and go, I want to afford a nice car and everything like that. I said, you can wait. You can wait. Just get yourself a normal car for now. We'll get there, right? We'll get there. Because the thing is, as soon as you start spending a lot more money on a car, because everybody wants a nice car, it's costing you so much that it's taking out your pocket far more money than if you got a smaller, a cheaper car, right? And now what's happening is that you can't use some of that money to invest into something which is going to give you, and at the end of the day, probably give you, if it appreciates at some point, was going to give you how many car? Okay, now I've got a choice of what kind of car I want and all the bells and whistles on top of it.
Yeah, it's different.
There's a particular podcast that I view from time to time. It's a guy who's his family, the origins are from India, but he was born and raised in the United States. And he was going through some of the comments he's receiving on his podcast. He said a lot of the people are saying, but it's like you don't like people having cars. You don't like people having credit cards. So, I don't have no problem with people having cars and credit cards. The problem I have is when people have cars and they can't afford it, they got credit cards, they don't know how to control it. That's where I have a problem. And he was saying something like, over 70% of people in the United States have cars on credit that they just can't afford. I'm thinking, wow, that's truth to power. No problem having a car, but the problem is if you can't afford to have a car, why are you going to have a car for?
Yeah.
Why?
Okay. Yeah, that's it, and that's what I meant. And a lot of people struggling, and that's a high percentage. Yeah. It's a high percentage of the population that struggle with it.
Yeah.
And let me tell you something. Do you think the government really cares? Do you think the bank really cares? Do you think they go, oh, listen, we I'm sorry you're struggling a bit, blah blah blah. I mean, so what does it mean? They're quite happy you're in that place. They're quite happy you're paying that debt. You're in that situation because they're now under their control. That's it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Gabs, there's been just one more comment before we move on to the next.
Sure.
Are you done on the slide, or is there a couple more boxes you've got to talk about, Gabs?
No, I'll just keep. I think this will be one of the last slides. We'll leave it. This slide here because I think this was my last slide. I think. Yeah.
Right. Can I go into the live chat? There's just been one more comment here.
Sure. Go ahead. Yeah.
It's directed to you again, Gabs. It says, but the Kiyosaki model doesn't work in the UK, Gabriel. I'm not sure what they mean by that. Robert's philosophy. What does it mean by Kiyosaki's model doesn't work in the UK?
It does. I think it. Well, when I look at it, I mean, listen. There's things about in America. I agree that are slightly different, but when you break it down in the book and everything like that, and you break it down, I can definitely say that it's in the UK. There are, the way that when you look at rich and the poor, it's the same concept. Because you got to understand there is self-employed, There is the self-employed, the the employed, the self-employed, the business owner, and the investor. They're all there, right? And then you look
Can
at
you
how,
guys hear me?
yeah, yeah, that's right. Just hold on a sec. Yeah, I hear you, Ralph. And you understand how the wealthy work and what they do. I've seen a lot of people in the UK. I'm in touch with the UK because I go to the UK every time. And I'm from the UK anyway, but I see what happens, and I can tell you, where the way the wealthy work, and then how the poor is poor, and because I'm across those people, and I hear it. I hear the complaints from the poor, and then I look at the rich, and I think about the rich, and you go, well, look how they're going. It's all there. Let me tell you, the only thing I'd say was different with the UK, slightly different, is that you have, obviously, you've got a monarch, right? You've got a lot more. So in that respect, there's establishment there, right? In terms of, yeah, old money, old
Mm.
money, right?
Yeah. Ralph, you want to say something, Ralph?
Yes, sorry, Ralph.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I'm just having so much challenges with my internet at the moment. I followed Robert Kiyosaki's podcast last year, and I think he was having some challenges himself. But I think that the main foundation of his strategy holds up anywhere, whether it's financial literacy. Really, there are only like four ways of earning money, or maybe two if you follow Bob Proctor's strategy as well. But when it comes to earning money, the the model of going to work. I put a comment last time you guys did your podcast.
We lost you, Ralph.
Lost you.
Ralph,
We lost you.
I'm trying to change his mic because there's a lot of crackling there. Ralph, can you hear us?
Yeah, you can't. We lost him. But yeah. So anyway, I think Sorry, Ralph, I can't hear you. But when you get on, but I hear what he's saying. Obviously, he said that the model, what Kiyosaki was saying, works pretty much everywhere, especially from a Western world, and definitely in the UK, because yeah, that's what he was saying.
Gab, shall I go on to the next slide? Yeah.
Yeah. So go to the next slide. Yeah, what's more to say? All right. So there you go. Just to simplify it there. House is an asset. I'll tell you that house is an asset. That is the case in America. That's the case in the UK. House is a liability. Those two things definitely, I'd say, is in both the UK and America, and even here in Australia. Working for money, right? So working for money and make your own money. Make money work for you. Definitely, that happens in the UK, right? Avoiding risks and embracing calculated risks. Yep, that happens. That model's there. So, and then you got education is formal and the continuous learning, and that all those things there, as I said, when you look at that model, it happens in America, it happens in the UK,
Anyway.
and anyway. So, yeah, exactly. Anyway, that principle is everywhere, no question about it. So, yeah, I think the person who mentioned that probably needs to elaborate which part doesn't work in the UK. Yeah, I think that's.
Okay.
I think this is that's the last slide, wasn't it?
No.
No. Okay. Goodness me, I went on, didn't I? So, I think this is it, because I think I remember saying, in a nutshell, right? Yeah. This is how the journey should be, right? So listen, I remember looking at salary, start with a salary, then you buy assets first, right? Then you buy assets, you earn income from your assets, right? And then income from your assets, you can see the top line there, income from assets, and then they become expensive, produces expenses, and those expenses you invest in excess to asset, then you invest more basically, and then you build up your asset column basically, and then also you can buy your luxuries last. So your car and everything like that. So it's like after your incomes of making money from your investments, you now can buy your luxuries, and that's what it's saying here. All right. Yep. Here
Yep.
you go.
All right. Okay. Again, another great slides created by Gabriel. Really, really good. The Rich Dad Poor Dad. Really enjoyed that. I've got to admit, I've not read the book in its entirety. It is somewhere on my shelf over there. I've got the cash flow quadrant, but if anyone who probably knows the book inside out would be Grandmaster himself, Ralph. I think Ralph said you had the book since the 1990s. Is that right, Ralph?
97.
Yeah.
When you tell so you had this in 97. When you tell me about it?
Because I was
because you had to do your own homework.
I tell you quickly.
97.
I was living. I just moved to Wales. And there's this one guy who was working on a night shift. I was doing like long hours on a night shift in Newport, and he said to me, "Ralph, do you read?" I said, "Yeah, I love books." And so I got a book for you. And he gave me the Rich Dad Poor Dad book, and he said, "I want that book back." So I ended up buying the book because I was just inspired by it. But there's three other books. If I've got time quickly, this one I've had since 2000. This one's called
Ralph,
The Richest Man in
Ralph.
Babylon.
Yeah, Ralph. Sorry, I don't want to cut in. But I've just received an express message from London, from North Nottingham, and Ricardo actually has to leave the podcast. So Ricardo, I want to say thank you very much for coming on the podcast again. We shall look forward to seeing you next week.
Definitely.
Enjoy your weekend. Say hello to your daughter Malika from each and every one of us, and have a great weekend.
Guys.
Yeah.
Much blessings, Ricardo.
Well, guys, thanks for having me here. That was an amazing podcast. I hope everybody, on the line enjoyed and learned something, because these financial principles works in anywhere you are. We just need to apply them and understand it. So, see you guys.
Absolutely.
See ya.
All right. Take care.
Ricardo, take care, man.
Take care, Ricardo. All the best.
Oh, you got a comment there. Did you all have your favorite books? Yeah, I mean, I think sorry, I think.
Yeah, Ralph. Sorry, Ralph. Go on.
No, it's all right.
Yeah, go on.
Yeah, so I got a few. One book, out of all the books I got, one of the books I actually had when I was a teenager, and I was a bit embarrassed to have it, and I binned it. But decades later, it's only because I was in a conversation with a business person. They said that how they referred this book, and I couldn't believe it. This one was called The Power of the Subconscious Mind, and it talks. It's Dr. Joseph Murphy talks about self mastery. It's a self help book. It is really I say required reading. The Richest Man in Babylon I mentioned before. There's another one called Instructions for Happiness and Success. The author is Susie Pearl. I've been in contact with her because there were some bits and pieces I was missing, and she's graciously got back to me. And Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. All those books. But like I said, it's great having those books, but you got to apply it. I've been reading. If you can see this book, actually, I'll show you the state of it. That's how old it is. I've had this.
I've never seen it look like that.
Yeah, that's the one that I remember.
1990.
Oh my goodness! Yeah, because there's many versions, isn't it? There's
right.
Well, many paperback versions. Anyway.
Many versions of this book, but I've had that, and I've literally just gone back over it again and still finding more layers that I've kind of missed before as well. And also, I listened to Bob Proctor, another guy to listen to, Earl Nightingale.
Your mic, Ralph.
The Strangest Secret. If you get a chance to listen to that again will open up many ideas.
Ralph, your mic distorted again.
It's terrible. I'm sorry.
All right, now it's all right. It's right now. Don't worry. It's done now. It's done.
Don't worry about it. Yeah, all good.
I think we've come to an end on this podcast. this version or this podcast was particularly talking about Rich Dad Poor Dad. Again, I've not read the book in its entirety, but Ralph, you're right there, Ralph. Reading books is one thing, but applying the knowledge is something completely different. But Gabriel, again, the slides there were top notch, man. Really, really good. Really, really good. I really appreciate that. Yeah.
No problem.
I was looking at the numbers of people who are watching us this time. I think we've probably got the highest amount of viewing numbers watching us on a particular podcast, but I'm not going to share now. I'm going to be talking to the guys once we are off the air. Ralph, thank you for coming on, being our special guest. I am hoping I've reached out to somebody who has a massive platform. He talks about financial advice on generational wealth, and I've reached out to him. I'm still waiting to hear back from him. And if we can get him onto the platform, that would be a massive coup. But yeah, any ideas for the next podcast? I'm not going to share it now. We're going to share it. We're going to talk about it once we are off the air. Ralph, any words you want to say? Anything you want to say before we?
Okay, just 2 quick things. First, I heard this when I was watching about the documentary about the West Indies. Bunny Wailer once said that how if you live for yourself, you live in vain. If you live for others, you live again. So one of my I want to give that out
I
to
like
everyone
that.
who's helped me and continue to help me, and I want to send that out to good vibes as well. And the other part is I remember being in the classroom when I was a kid, and I think we all were distracted when we were in the classroom because we were always looking out the window. And I when I listened to you guys last week, I had that thought that sometimes the kid looking at the window is probably thinking outside the box.
Mm.
And on that, that's so funny. Because I remember when I used to be studying and doing with my revisions, right? When you're revising for your exams and stuff like that,
Yeah.
I found it more interesting looking out my window.
Yes.
So you're living your life outside the box.
Exactly.
On that
so
note,
teacher, don't chuck the chalk at that kid who's distracted because he may have a really good idea about something that he wants to share with everybody else.
Oh dear. Anyway, we are finished on this podcast on this. If you're watching it now live or on the repeat, I've really enjoyed this one. This is probably the longest one, 1 hour and 20 odd minutes and some change. We will be back next week, Saturday, same time, same place, just a different day. So from Gabriel, of course, Ricardo, of course, my brother Ralph, we shall see you next week. Take care. Be kind to each other. Remember, look out the window. Take care.